Hey guys, this video is going to be called How to Get Noticed as an Illustrator. And before I get going on that, boy, I want to do a little update on a few things. The first one is the last video that I made. Holy cow, that thing went crazy. And I was just going to talk a little bit about that. It was the last video I made was Your Copyright is About to Change, 86,000 views in about a week. And if you follow my channel, you know I don't ever get that many views in a week, and so it was kind of crazy. But I had Brad Holland on there, and the thing that I wanted to update is that apparently we were successful in getting enough letters written in because the letter writing date has been extended until October to get your letters into the Copyright Office. If you are interested in that, if you want to know more about that, and you didn't watch that video, I suggest you go back and watch that first, and all the links are at the bottom of the video in the description. So if you want to submit a letter, all of that's there. Sample letters are there, all the links. There was, and I'll just talk about this really quick, a lot of counter information, a lot of people saying that it was a hoax. Just know that one of the reasons why you'll notice there's no ads that I placed over top of that video. YouTube will put a little ad at the bottom, but I don't get paid from that. I would have made, based on the calculations for my channel views, somewhere in the neighborhood of $130 to $160 for the amount of views that I've gotten so far. And I did not place ads on top of it because I knew that there would be detractors out there that would have criticized me for that. And I would never want to make money off of an issue that's that important anyway, because it clouds the issue. And I'm a big anti-corruption person. I hate corruption. And I would say if you were shown a link, there was an article that was written, an attack piece, and what they basically did was I would ask questions. I spoke for about 1 or 2% of the time, and the expert Brad Holland spoke for about 99% of the time. And I would ask a question or make a statement, and if it was wrong, he would correct it. And so, of course, what the attack article do, they attacked me, the statements that I made that were false, that Brad Holland corrected immediately. Like, the biggest one was, I referred to it as a bill, and the attack article, the guy that wrote it, Brett, with no last name, said that in the video they say it's a bill. It's not a bill, it's proposed legislation. Well, Brad said that in there. There are forces out there that want to get your images. They want to be able to use your images, and they come from all different sides. I'm not going to mention names because I don't like the idea of getting sued. But just know there are big businesses out there that really want to get your images and really want to use them, and it's worth your while to look into this situation. That's not why I'm here to talk about that on this video, but I just want to update you that I was totally caught off guard by that. I didn't think that we would get anywhere near the number of views to attract people who had an axe to grind. But anyway, that's a reality that we deal with in this world. Okay, another update that I want to talk about is, hey, I got a booth for Comic-Con. So if you've been following my channel, you know that I've been talking about leading up to Comic-Con, Salt Lake Comic-Con in September. And I want to thank the wonderful Adam Manoa, and I'll link him in the description down here. You can check out his work. He bought two tables, and he's willing to sell me one of them because they were sold out. And man, that's something that you could that I could talk about really quick. Is I was at my wit's end. I had been calling the Salt Lake Comic-Con office and trying to figure out if there's any way I could get a table. I'll pay more for a table. Is there, and I'm already on the waiting list. Is there anything that I can do? Is there anybody that looks like they might be backing out? And I kept calling them, kept emailing them, and finally I think they were getting tired of me getting a hold of them. So I put it on Facebook and just said in a private group, and I just said, hey, does anybody have a line on a table? And one of my former students, Adam Manoa, reached out and said, yeah, he does have one. So thank you so much. It's going to be really exciting to be able to do that. And then I'll just update real quick. I talk about some of the work that I'm doing. I'm halfway through my Random House middle grade novel that I'm illustrating for I can't name the book or the author, but it's a book that's coming out around Christmas, and that's going really well. And I will show this stuff on here when I can. You have to be really respectful of your clients. They don't really want the artwork to get out there before they get to show it off, and so I can't do that right now. The other big job that I have is a children's book for a pharmaceutical company, and that's going really well also. It's really exciting to have that kind of work that pays really well. I don't have to worry about money right now, which is something that I am going to talk about in this video tonight. And that is to answer the question again, how to get noticed as an illustrator. I think what I'll do is I'll read a letter from a guy named Ralph who sent a really heartfelt letter, and I'm just going to read this. It's a little bit lengthy, but the reason that I'm going to read this is because Ralph's letter is like so many that I get, and one of the things you're also going to notice with this video is that I revisit a lot of the same ideas. So if you watch my videos, if you watch my channel, you will hear the same advice over and over and over again. But I think that that's really good, because I think you need to hear the same things. For lack of a better analogy, it's kind of like church. They teach the same things over and over and over because we need to hear those things. And sometimes you're at a place in your life where you'll hear it, but you don't really hear it. And other times, because of your experiences, and maybe your experiences have changed, you'll hear it and it will resonate more, or you'll understand what it means more. So I apologize if some of this seems repetitive, but I really feel like this is probably, if I was to categorize the type of letters that I get, this one really is kind of like right there, and I think a lot of you guys will identify with it. So I'm just going to go ahead and read this. I'm writing to you because I've been struggling with the decision to go back to school for my degree in 3D animation and illustration. I realize the benefits of it, the creative environment, learning techniques, being around people, but I also realize the downside, which I have felt all too much lately, that being money and coming out with debt. I definitely do not count myself among the privileged who are able to go without paying a dime. Just thinking about the money needed to invest in that has me hesitant. I'm 25, I have no car at the moment. Freelancing is not really working out as I feel lost in it. I don't know how to promote myself. I know fan art is a way, but I have not felt as much of a fan of anything to draw it. No mention, I am still living with my parents. As much as I can benefit from going back to college, I feel there's a lot more in the long run that I will not benefit from. Truthfully, I am seeking a little guidance. I feel I am a forest within a dense fog, just wandering about with no sense of direction, bouncing from one place to another, going somewhere, all the while going nowhere. How do I find work as a freelance? Do I just draw and wait for opportunities to come to me? Actively scream out on social media, hey, come check out my art? Putting in every hashtag until I have no writing space? I just don't really get it. I've watched many people as of late on Twitch and just get in the art community in general some type of following. I don't know how, but they did it. And so there's a lot in there to cover. And I'm not going to be able to give you, I'm not going to be able to just fill in the answer, and you're not going to have just an epiphany probably out of this. And again, some of the things that I'm going to say, they might not resonate. As I look at my career, I've made a lot of mistakes. I've made tons of mistakes, and I've survived a lot of those mistakes. And part of that is because I've had a perseverance to just keep going. And if I've had a setback, I just keep going. Those mistakes, though, have led to the successes, and they're just as important. And I've had to learn to cherish my mistakes, because without them, I would not be where I am. I would not be able to have the discernment and the decision-making ability to say, no, I'm not going to do that. For one example is my failed Kickstarter 3 or 4 years ago. I think 4 years ago now. I won it like way off in the distance. Like, it's probably like 7 years ago. No, like 4 years ago. And the thing is, within these last 4 years, there's been 2 or 3 ideas that I have thought about. Maybe I should run this as a Kickstarter. And the reason that you haven't seen one is because the lessons that I learned on the failed one, I applied and asked myself critical questions that I knew the answers to. And when I got those answers, I said to myself, nope, it's a wrong project for a Kickstarter. That's one simple little example. Let's start off with the fan art thing. So you're talking about, I know that some people do fan art, and the guy that I mentioned, Adam Manoa, he's getting, and I've mentioned him before, he's getting a crazy following. He's like 30,000, close to 30,000, if not, followers on Instagram. And he's out of school a year. That's a crazy amount, a crazy number. So yes, you're seeing that people can do fan art and gain a following. One thing that I would love to mention is you're seeing that I'm doing fan art, probably because I'm talking about that, and it's my road leading up to Comic-Con. I'm doing freelance. Every now and then I'll just I'll do paintings just for fun, just because I have that itch that I need to scratch, and I just do portfolio pieces. Obviously, I work on our classes at SVS. You knew that I was going to have to work that in somehow. But all the different things that I'm doing, I love doing. And right now, I've figured out a way to only work on the things that I love doing. So the point with that is the fan art that I'm doing, it's not a scheme. It's not like, oh, everybody's doing fan art, so in order for me to make money, I need to do it. It's that I finally found, and I've talked about this, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, go back and watch those other videos. But it's that I found a way for it to work for me. And I talked about this before, for like 2 or 3 years, I didn't understand it. I kind of mocked it a little bit. I was like, why is everybody doing, why is everybody doing this stuff? It seems like I just didn't get it. And when I finally figured out a way to make it fun for me, I'm addicted to it now. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it for the Comic-Con. And you should see my iPad. I have lists of these little characters that I want to do. And there are probably 6 or 7 collections that I want to do. I'm only working on my 3rd one right now. So I'm looking way beyond this first Comic-Con. And the funny thing is, even if they don't sell well, they're super fun for me to do, and I do them when I'm at a doctor's office or wherever. I can pick up my iPad and just start doodling on them. And it's something that I don't have to, if I concept them ahead of time, it's something that I can pick up, much like I would say, someone working on needlepoint or something would do. It's relaxing. It's not an assignment. I don't have to. It doesn't have to turn out a certain way. If it's not turning out, I can scrap it. That's the beauty of a personal project. So I just want to make it clear that I'm not doing fan art to make money. I'm doing fan art because it's fun, and it will be really fun trying to make a little money with that thing that's really fun. There's a very distinct difference there. If it doesn't make any money, that's fine. I had tons of fun doing it, and that's the important thing. The main message of this video, and the main way I can answer your question as a whole is, you have to find that thing that makes you super happy with your artwork. You can't. From my perspective, it doesn't work to chase what is working for other people. One of the reasons why it's working for other people is because they're so passionate about it. If you're not passionate about it, but you're chasing, then eventually that passion is going to run out, and your work is going to pale in comparison to the people who are really passionate about it. Case in point, I started out with editorial work. I think I've shown that in some of my videos before, some of my early work. I don't have it on my website, and because I'm not showing a screen capture right now, I can't show it. But it was what I did when I first came out of school for magazines, little tiny people and doing things with big objects and stuff, and it was basically copying the style that a lot of other illustrators were doing at the time. I did it to make money. It worked. I made some money doing it. And then after doing it for about 3 years, I wanted to tear my eyes out because I couldn't stand doing it anymore. And what I would end up doing on the side is whenever I would get a chance, I would do a personal piece that didn't look anything like the stuff that I was doing for money. And at that point, I had a rep, and I started showing my rep that work. And she liked it, but she said, this is really different from the other stuff you're doing. I don't know if we can sell it, And I was like going, well, I really want to put it in my portfolio. And my rep was like, yeah, but it's going to really throw our clients off. But she was helpful. She was like, well, let's see if we can get something going. And she did. She got some work with it. And that's eventually what led me to making the transition over to children's books. The point is, it's the thing that you have to do more than anything else is make great art, make amazing art. And I'm drawing a blank, but so bad with names. The author of Coraline, I'm drawing a blank. That's his line. Neil Gaiman. He said, make great art. He gave a commencement speech. You should watch that. It's on YouTube. Commencement speech at Stanford. Amazing talk. Amazing truth. Every word he says is absolutely right. If you make great art, the best that you can make, you will be found. You will be discovered as long as you are putting your work somewhere. The good stuff does rise to the top. And I'm going to give you some examples of people that you can pattern your career after. One thing that you have to keep in mind as well is that you have a lifetime to get this good, to get as good as you need to get, and that's not an easy answer for people when they've got bills that need to be paid now. I realize that. But most artists don't make it overnight either. It does take some time. I want you to look up James Jean if you don't know who that is. And I will link all of these in the description. James Jean. So he is an anomaly in that you cannot contact that guy. I mean, if you go to his website, there is no email, there's no phone number, there's no contact information at all. It's like he's a monk. He creates his artwork, and it's amazing artwork, and he can afford to not even allow you to contact him. I don't even know how clients contact him. They must somehow figure out who his representation is, his gallery, whatever, because you cannot find that guy through his website. So maybe they're going through his gallery. In some ways, you could almost say that's arrogant, but at the same time, if he's so popular that if he did put his contact information on his website, his inbox would be completely jam-packed, and he wouldn't be able to get through anything. That's not there is no. This is not like high school. In high school, it's a popularity contest, depending on either looks or charisma. If you can get people's attention by the way you act and stuff, and you guys all know those kind of people. The art world is not like that in illustration, and in animation. It's not about that. It's about the quality of your work, and that's a good thing, because you can rely on the fact that when you do get good, there's definitely going to be people that are going to be interested in using you. So you don't have to worry about the fact that if you spend a lot of time and get really good that you're going to be ignored. You won't be. Take a guy like James Jean. He is he is just committed, and he just makes amazing art, and his art is being used in many facets, from murals, packaging. It's used on 3D. He's got 3D objects that you can buy, as well as framed paintings and drawings and prints and things like that. Another artist that I want you to look at is Dan Santat. He's a children's book illustrator. He writes and illustrates, and he just won the Caldecott. And he is an amazing artist because not only is his art amazing, his ideas are amazing, but he also shares that on social media. So you mentioned social media. the thing about social media that I think a lot of people get wrong, I listened to another podcast by Gary Vaynerchuk, who is an advertising, he owns an advertising agency. And one of the things that he talks about that people do wrong on social media is we want to just kind of bother people and say, hey, and that's what you kind of said in there. Is, am I supposed to just scream it out on social media? No, obviously, if you're always screaming, no one's going to hear you. Excuse me, after a while. And so what Gary's advice is jab, jab, punch. Jab, 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 punch. And basically what that means is you poke somebody with a neat picture. You poke somebody with something that you wrote that's funny. Or maybe it's something that you did that day that was unique. Anything that's going on that's interesting or that might be of interest to people that follow you or that you're friends with or whatever. I mean, it's a network of people that you. Oops, my computer's trying to turn itself off. It's a network of people that you're trying to be friends with or that are friends with you. One of the social media that I really like is Facebook. It seems to work for me really well. I'm starting to like Instagram and Twitter, but the jab, 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 and then a punch is. The punch is, hey, I just released this print. It's available on my website. Or punch, I just made a blog post. Something where you are asking them or announcing to them, hey, I've got this thing that you can buy. If you're constantly saying, hey, I've got this thing you can buy, pretty soon people turn you off. And I do know someone who uses Facebook kind of that way. And this person has a huge following on their blog, but on Facebook they're getting not much play at all because what they do is they post it on they post the things that they have to offer on Twitter, and then they have it automatically post to Facebook. Well, if you're not actively engaging in the social media channel, like for me, I do that on Tumblr, and I don't have any following on Tumblr. We're kind of like in this mindset of being afraid not to be everywhere. So when I posted to Instagram, I thought, well, I'll just automatically post to Tumblr. Am I gaining a following on Tumblr? Not at all. And that's because I don't engage people on Tumblr. I just don't have time, and none of us do. We just don't have time to work on all the social media. So when you ask that question, it's not about how much you're posting on social media. That is definitely not it. There's a difference. There's a reason why someone like a Mel Milton, who I interviewed him. If you want to know about him, I've got a video where I interviewed him. He was a Disney artist, and just is an incredible artist, an incredible social networker. And when he posts something on Facebook, it gets shared and liked like crazy. It's not because it's not because of the fact that he's commenting or bothering people on Facebook. It's because his artwork is so amazing. He also has an amazing personality, and so people really kind of gravitate towards him for that reason as well. But it's simply because of the work. The work has to be amazing. And then take someone like a Ryan Woodward. Some of you guys might know him from the little animated short that he did called Thought of You, the rotoscoped dancers, where the girl turns into a bird at the end. I think that's what happens. Anyway, so Ryan is an amazing talent, and he does a lot of storyboarding for Hollywood. He does a lot of other projects, and he's constantly busy. And that's one thing that you'll find with people where their work is top shelf is they're constantly busy. They're not worried about getting work and it's not because they're older. Ryan's kind of he's not an old guy. He's been around for a while, but he's not old. He's definitely a lot younger than me. And there are a lot of artists that are a lot younger than me that are out of school maybe 5 or 10 years that are doing amazing work and getting tons of work. Another one that I'm just thinking of offhand is Renata Luska. I don't know how to say her last name. I'm going to link her too. I'm just going to make a note so I don't forget to link her. Of course, my pen won't write. I never thought I'd be writing during one of these, but anyway, look her up. It's like she came out of nowhere into the children's book world, and she is one of the hottest things. I mean, as far as her work, it is amazing work. It just seems like everybody loves her because she's constantly working on books. She's another one that's really hard to contact. She's top shelf right out of the gate, and that's because her work is it's spot on to what the children's book world wants. I don't want to turn this into that kind of video. I could talk about aspects of her work that I think really appeal to editors and art directors and parents ultimately, because they're the ones buying the books. But it's the work. It's about the work. So I guess to wrap this whole thing up, if you're having a hard time getting attention from clients, I haven't seen your work, so this is an assumption that I'm making, but I'm going to assume that it's probably not as good as it's going to be at a later date as you get better and better and better. And it gets easier the farther along you get and the better you get. One last thought with this is, I really feel like if you're going to be successful as an artist, you need to have a lifestyle that is akin to an Albert Einstein, or I'm drawing a blank on the famous electrician inventor. I'm just so bad at recalling names, but anyway, a lot of inventors, a lot of artists that are totally committed. I mean, they throw themselves into their work. It is one of the most important things in their life, if not the most important thing in their life. Many of them, you would say their life is out of balance. I see a lot of people that they have a lot of interest and they want to do a lot of things in their lives, and they want their art to be top shelf. Maybe that's not entirely possible. That's a possibility, that if you're not going to throw yourself into your work and really go out of balance lifestyle wise, you might not be able to have enough time in the day to really improve enough. It really needs to be that important. But if you do spend that kind of time, over time, and you're doing a lot of things that I've talked about in other videos, where you're copying other illustrators and you're really trying to analyze the things that they're doing, and getting critiques and having a network of artists. If you're hanging around artists that are better than you, chances are they're going to help improve your artwork. If you're hanging around artists or people that don't do art, or that are worse than you probably won't have that incentive to work that hard. I've spoken long enough on this video, so anyway, do not subscribe to this video unless you want to see or hear more like this, and I'll see you next time.